tools. So I'm just going to record it as well. In order to attempt your second assessment, everything needs to be inside your htdocs folder. Wherever you have installed your XAMPP, for me it's on C drive. I have the XAMPP folder. You can just go there and then double click, and you have your htdocs folder. This is where you store everything for your assessment, for the backend related things. Just go and let's create a new folder called assessment practice or something like that. Right? Sorry? Yeah, whatever is fine. It doesn't matter for this one. Yeah, and then let's create as login. It's fine. Whatever, it is okay. Then we'll just go in there and we'll start up our VS Code from this location. Right, so VS Code done, ready and open. Now, like I mentioned before, we have a few things that we need to create. First, let's create a simple login, register page. New file, register, register.html. Cool, so let's create a simple thing. Let's get a simple boilerplate like that, and we'll call it register. Give it a title of whatever you want. It doesn't matter. So inside the body is where whatever we want to do, we'll do it. So we'll create a form. Right, so form is open and close. And then we'll start building whatever we decided to build. We need to take in the information from users. Now this is where you start thinking. This is like whenever you create your first form, this is where you start thinking about your tables. I've been mentioning this a lot, but you need to think about what you want to store and then have the same table behind the scenes. All right. So we could go in normal way, like we could go with label, but I'll just go name. Cool, and then I'll go input, and type is going to be name. For name it could be a text, and we'll just create a dummy thing. And what else? We need an email from the user. Input type equals to email. So we'll give it an email. And then what do we need? Password? For now, I'll just keep it as a text so that we can see whatever we input has gone through or not. I'll just keep it as text for now. You guys should change this one later. And then we'll just give it input type equals to submit. Or you could give it submit is fine. Full of simple stuff. And now let's go and see if we can open this up. For this one, you don't even need the web browser. So I'll just go back here. You could just open it up. Yeah, we have a very simple form that looks like this. Let's add a few things. I'm just gonna break all the elements so that we have a simple but decent looking form. And inside here I will also, above the form, I will also give a h2, I guess, like register yourself. And for this one, we could just look at wherever you want. You could just open it in any browser. I'll just bring it down here. So we have a very simple registration kind of thing. Alright, so now there are a couple of things that would not work if you wanted to take it into your backend. But we will come back to it later. Let's go and create a database and create a table inside the database, alright? So for that, make sure your XAMPP is open and your Apache and MySQL is running. For me, it's already online and it's running. And then we will go into your choice of browser will go localhost, and we'll just go normal stuff. It is a little bit expanded for me, so I'm going to reduce it from. Cool. And that is how it should look. And from phpMyAdmin, we will go and create our database, right? So if you want to follow along without any changes in the code, just do whatever I'm doing. Otherwise, you could just create whatever you want. There will only be a few things that has to change. Right, so we will go and create our new database. What were we calling it? Profile? Yeah. Profile DB? Yeah, let's call it like that. And let's create the database. And inside this database, we'll create a table called login table. Now we'll start thinking. We need a name, we need email, we need password, but we also need an ID. So for ID, name, email, and password should be enough, right? Only 4 things. You could create a timestamp if you want to know when your user first joined in the system, but it's completely up to you. It's literally up to you how you want to design your database. So 4 is enough for this activity, so I'm going to leave it as 4. Let's go create. Right, so I'm gonna toggle this off. We need an ID. Second is the name. What's the third one? Email. Email, and last one is. So these are the things that we want to store about the user. We want to store their name. We want to store their email. We want to store their password. Now for you guys, for your assessment, you might have a form that is about an event, and you might have asked users to input or admin to input the name of the event, the venue of the event, time of the event, blah blah blah. Age restrictions, I don't know. There could be multiple things that you're taking input from the user. So you will have to design your table accordingly. It needs to have those columns. At least needs to have those columns if you want to store that information. ID, I'm going to leave it as integer, that's fine. Name can be variable character, and variable character. I'm going to leave it as 10, and rest can be 255. Cool, default, everything is alright. And this, we're just going to make ID as our primary key. You can go inside index and make it into primary key, and go. And your auto increment, I'll just toggle it on. Cool. Are you guys okay? Do you have your laptop on? That is perfect. Fabulous. Cool. So now we will just scroll down, and you will see, depending on the resolution of the version, it could be anywhere else. So this is the adjacent SQL that would have created your table. Well, we are not writing SQL for creation of tables, at least. We'll write it for updating, deletion, dropping, blah, blah, blah. I'm going to leave it, and we're going to just save it. Just going to toggle it on. And there we have it. We have our database called profile_db. And we have our table that we just created, login, right? And after this, let's go back and create our connection to the database, right? So we'll just go here, we'll just right click new file, and we will just name it dbcon.php. Right, so we have already done this before, it's nothing new. So we'll follow the steps that I mentioned before. We will initialize a few things, like our variables, and then start connecting to our variable, and to our database, then check if the connection exists or not, and based on that we will do something, right? Alright, so previously we wrote everything in the same PHP. Today we are not going to do that. We are going to use this file only for checking if the connection exists or not, because we will be writing this code in our register action.php, login action.php, dropping, updating, blah blah blah. Could be anything. So let's go and write the PHP code that we wrote last time. So start off PHP, close. Right, so let's start giving the comments as well. Init variables, and then create a connection object, check if the connection exists. Few things, right? So go ahead and initialize your variables and we will move on. So this is how you start your variable. Server name, right? What's the name of the server? It's localhost. I'm just gonna keep it like this, easy. And then your username. Cool. So I think I might have forgotten a few things. I'll go and show you where you can fetch your username from. So you can go to your phpMyAdmin, go to home, and once you're there, then you can go inside your user accounts. So I'm just trying to explain why the username is root and why the password is nothing, right? So you could go and set up a new account later. It's fine. So go inside user accounts. Then you will see all the users that are pre-created when you download them. And this is the one that we are using, right? So we are using root, localhost. It doesn't need any password and it has all the privileges, so we can delete, update, alter, whatever you want. And this is the reason why the username is root, host name is, or the server name is localhost. It's the same, and there is no password, right? So that gives you an understanding of why those variables have those values. So username is root, and password is nothing, right? Not very secure. And we need a DB name, database name as well. So the name of the database is profile_db, right? Well, after you have initialized all of these values, and we can move on. So if you are creating a separate database, just change this. That is where most of the problems come from. Like you might have named your database as like test database, login database, whatever you want. So just go and change that thing. Alright, so that's the first step. Initialization is done. Let's go ahead and create the connection object. I'm just going to name it con. So we did it like this last week. So we are going to move into MySQLi and the procedural method. So we'll just use simpler thing, MySQLi connect. And it also accepts a few things. It accepts a few things like server name, username, password, and the name of the database in that order. So we'll just give those values. You can separate them by comma. So throughout the semester, we'll probably never repeat this process ever again, because we have created this thing, so we'll just include it everywhere, right? So we have created our connection object using this method, MySQLi_connect. Now all that we have to do is, does the connection even exist? So we'll just go and check. So previously we echoed something. So we do not want to echo like, hey, connected successfully or not. Because we are going to include this in other PHP files that we create, right? So we don't want any output, because what we want to show is, we want to show whatever content you write in there. We don't want to show connected successfully and stuff like that. So we will skip the message, but we will still have to check like if it has connected or not. I mean, you could leave it as it is, it will still work, but it's going to be prone to errors. Like if the connection doesn't exist, then you do not know what the problem is, right? So if we'll use the if condition like that. So if the object does not have anything, if there is no connection, then what we will do is we will silently kill the process, right? So we will just die. We will just kill the process, like connection fail. Now what this is going to do, this is not going to post anything on the screen. It's just going to help us debug, right? So it's just going to help us debug. We could use myConnect_error, MySQLi connect_error, but I'm not going to do that. Cool. So we'll just leave it as it is, make it as user friendly as we can. That's it. We do not want to, else we do not need else anyway. So if there is no connection, then kill the connection, else keep the connection, like it just exists by itself. Right, so we have started something from here. Now we have our connection.php. So we will never go back to creating this thing. So what we will do is we will always come in and just include it. All right, so we'll just include it. We looked at that previously. All right, so let's go and create another PHP file that's going to do everything that is with registering of the user. So right click, new file. You can name it whatever you want. I'm just gonna name it register_action.php. So this file will be dealing with the registration aspect of the user. They will go and fill in their information in this form. We will come back and do all the processing here. But right now, they will fill the form here, but there is no way to send the form to another page. So that is where get and post comes in, right? So the form will have two methods. So I just want to stay close to the laptop, so I'm not going there because I will record and post it for you. So now we are creating our form in register.html, but we want to send that information somewhere in another page. Now there are two ways to do that. We could use post, or we could use get, right? So now this is where you will come and change a few things here. So inside the form we do have attributes like what method you want to use when the submit is pressed, what actions you want to use, and all those other stuff. So if you look at any sample codes from different places, they could write PHP and HTML in the same page, right? So that would mean we discussed that in week 4, where whenever you hit submit, the form refreshes itself, right? So if you do not specify any action, then all the values that you store will be sent to the same page, right? So if your action is empty, it's going to go in the same page. But this time around, we want to segregate that action, send it to a separate page, right? So this is where we will define our method. What method are we using? It tells you the method itself. Let's use post as a method. Or yeah, we'll have to experiment with this thing anyway. So let's use post as a method, and action will be the page that you want to send the information to. Where are we sending our information to? We're sending it to register_action. So that's the reason why we tend to name our pages _action, because that comes from the form itself, right? So let's just save it for now. Now what we want to do is let's go back and open up, let's just open our register form in any browser, random browser. So I'm going to fill in information. Cool, so I'll wait for you guys. I'll fill in the information. And then as soon as you fill in all the information and hit submit, it just toggles into register_action.php by itself. So what we will do is we will open this in the localhost now. Localhost, what did we name it? We named it login, I guess. Sorry. Login. Cool, so since we do not have any index.php, this is what we will see. If you had index.php, you just passing the path would render the index.php. Cool. So if you name index.php and you cannot see this menu option, then don't panic. You could just rename it to something else, then you will be able to see this page. All right, so in this server, these are the things that we have. All right, so let's open up our register.html, and you can see that. You could open up in your server as well, since it already resides there. Now let's fill in the information, any dummy information. Nothing is happening right now because we are not doing anything with the information. We are just sending it to another page. So let's hit on submit. then you can see that it just changes to register action.php. There is nothing there, right? So that's why it's secure. You cannot see what the information was sent. But now let's go back and change it into get method, and let's see what happens then. Let's save it. We'll just come back here. Sorry if that was fast. So I just went back, then went inside my register.html, and inside the form I changed the method to get, right? And then I saved it. Then I'm going back to our path, and I'm just opening that very file. All right, just opening that same file. So this time around, let's fill in the information. And let's hit on submit. Oh, well, it's not showing right now. But if you were to send it to the same page, you could see the information on the URL itself. So in the URL itself, you will see the information. You are not seeing it right now because there are few things that we need to change in the form. Also, that was an oversight on my part. Now another important concept I will probably put in here. Define how do we comment? I forgot. Like that, yeah. I forgot how do we comment. Hash? Yeah. I don't think double slash works. Has to be like that? Huh? Hash works? Star works? Star? Is it? Star? Yeah. Because if I just write hash? Because if I write hash then render, then it will just pop up on the screen. Anyways, I'm not going to put it. So there are now another thing, very, very important thing is, see, we are passing in the information right now, but there is no way to know which information is coming from which input. So we need to take in the information from the forms, but at the same time, it needs to come inside a variable. So what we are going to do is, there's another attribute inside the input type or inside the input tag, right? That is the name attribute. So whatever name that you give to the input, then that name will be used to refer to that specific data. Cool. So we'll give it a name of name, right? So this input type is storing names. That's how I will probably read it. So name is something that we need to give. And this email, we'll give it a name of email, right? So this input type is storing the email, right? And we will give it a name of password. So these are very important things that you need to take into account. And we do not want users to submit empty forms, and we do not want to store empty values in the table, because right now we do not have any null safety built into our code, so I don't know how it's going to act like. So what we are going to do is we are going to put required, right? So we are not going to let users to submit the forms as long as before they fill in the forms, right? So required. So these are going to be mandatory. If the users don't fill in these things, then your form will not be submitted. All right. All right. So are you guys with me, like, until now? These are the important things. Cool. So let's save it and let's go back and see if we have any changes. Right. Cool. So we'll go back to our register.html page. So like if you try submitting it, it will tell you that, hey, please fill in the field, right? That was not there before. Previously it did check for the email things, but didn't check for those things. And if you could use regex to ensure the users are using small letters, capital letters, numbers, and all those stuff. It's up to you. So if you hit on submit right now, you will see the difference between post and get. All right. So going back to our code, we are using get as of now. So what's happening is the users will fill in the information in this form. It will take in these forms of inputs, and we will use get method to send the information over to another page, right? And if you use get, you can see whatever the values were filled in the form. See, this was the password that I entered, this was the email address that I entered, and this was the name that I entered in using get method. So not the best method, right? So you could hide everything, but they can still see it in the URL. Now let's go back and switch to post method and see what's the difference. So I'm going to save it. I'm just going to go back to our login directory. Come on. Is this where we are? So going inside the login directory, and then we'll go inside register. So the only change was this method. I changed it to post method. Now we'll fill in the information, and then if you hit submit, it won't show anything at all. Cool. So that's the reason why I've been telling you guys that post is secure, get is not secure, because it is not possible to infer what was filled in the form using post method or get method. All right. So let's do one more thing before we head out for a break. What we want to do is we filled in something in the form and we're using post method to send it over, and we know that it is landing in this space, but we are not doing anything with those information. So what we will do is we will come and print those things on the screen just to make sure that we have them, and we are going to insert them in the table. All right. Let's get started. We don't need to include connection for now because we are not storing it in the database. All that we want to do is we want the users to fill in the form, and once they hit on the submit button, we already know that it's going over to the other page. What we want to do is we want to take those input and display them on the screen. We are not catching them as of now, so we will catch them and print it on the screen. So what I'm going to do is I'm going inside my register_action.php. I'm just going to create a simple boilerplate, php, blah, blah, blah. Now we will catch those values. We are using post method to send the information over. So we are going to catch it using $_post. That is already built in inside PHP. That's the reason why you cannot take post as a method. So as a variable name. So let's go and create a variable. What are the things? So when you create a variable, you have to think which things you want to capture and what are you going to do with it. If you are not going to do anything with it, don't even capture it, right? So we have a name. Let's create a name variable because we are going to store user's name. I'm going to leave it empty for now. Let's create email variable. And obviously we are also interested in the password. Three things. We're interested in three of these things, right? So now comes the question of how are we going to catch it, all right? So I'll wait for you until you create these things. Make sure you have register_action as a action in your previous form. Make sure you're using post method. Make sure And now this is also important. Make sure you have these names. If you don't use these names, then you are not able to catch or capture those values. All right. So we will use these names to capture the values. All right. Let's get started then. In order to capture the values, we'll use the built-in method called $_. As soon as you type it, it will give you these things. So if you use now if you use get method to send information over, you will use get method to capture the information. If you use post method, then post. Right? So let's use that. We are using it. Now what we want to do is the values are being posted. They are being posted in the form of array, right? As an associative array with name storing the value of the name thing. Cool. So I'll probably have to write it, so it's not going to be recorded. So the information that we are posting comes in this format. Since we're using name to send the information over, name will store whatever the user fills in, and email will store the value for email. Password will store the value of password. So it's being sent in this form. So it's being posted in this form. Cool. So what we will do is we will capture it like this. So post method, you want to capture the name, you capture the name. Alright. So now this is, don't get confused. It doesn't mean this thing. It only means this thing. Alright. So if you are capturing even, this is the name of the input, whatever the user fills in. If you give it even, it will be posted in the form of even here. And you will have to capture it like this. Cool. So let's go and do that. Now this is happening in the action page. So post, obviously this is how we capture or work with arrays. Name. Cool. Now this needs to exist in the form. Like if it doesn't exist in the form, it's not gonna work. Alright. So email, we are sending emails as well. It's already there, you could type it, whatever. Email. Cool. And then we're gonna get the password as well. So this is how you can capture these values. Obviously, you have to check if those values were posted or not. You could also, like, this is a hard-coded thing. You could just write a conditional statement here. If the server method is post, then do this, else do that. So it's completely up to you to make your code safe or have many branches so that it runs on multiple times. So you could check what method is being used and then just do it. Cool. But we know that we are using post method. So what we are going to do is we are just going to print all of them now. So I'm just gonna break it. Cool. So we're taking, we populated these three variables, and now we want to print these three variables. Alright, so I'm just breaking them as of now, nothing else. So now this brings us back to our last exercise. Last week's exercise. Remember, we created a query and stored it in the table. That time, what we did was we gave it a manual value. We gave it a value ourselves. But this time, the user can input a value in a different page, which we will capture, and these are the very values that we will store in our table. All right, so let's save it, and let's go back to register.html. Cool. So now let's populate some value. I'm gonna go this. Something like that, and I'm just gonna submit, and if everything is working, these values should be printed on the screen. So let's go submit. It should take it to another page, and those values have been printed. So now you know that it's working. You have connected your front end with your back end. All right, so you have at least finished the connection part. All right, so your assessment will probably begin from here. You already have the forms. I'm not sure if you have these parameters in your assessment. I'm not sure if you have this simple way to check if it's. So if you say that it's required, that means users can never submit a form that is empty. That saves the trouble to check if it's empty or not. So you do not have to check. If it's not going to be empty, you do not have to check, right? So make sure, I think you already have everything in your assessment. You probably do not have a method for the forms that you have, and you do not have an action. And you might have these things built in. I'm not sure about the names. You might have used any other attributes. But your task will now be to go and refactor the code for your assessment one. Keep a copy, or you could refactor it and submit. It doesn't make any difference because you also have 2 more days. People who came in late, we are sorry for whatever happened with your assessment. That's the reason why there is an extension for your assessment, which is on the Wednesday, 12 p.m. So you have 1 day, 15 hours or something left to do your assessment. So I think it's a good opportunity. If you were not able to submit the best version of your assessment, go and change it, and you will have the opportunity to change it. Cool. And people who are already confident with their submissions, you could just refactor. We might not have the time for demonstration, but I will try to schedule some in. But yeah, we might not be able to do a demonstration, not a hard or fast demonstration. But I really want to share our work, so I would give every group an opportunity to just bring their laptop and then just display it on the screen. Right? So you could, we'll probably just do a short demonstration where you present your work, because I want us to be good speakers as well, so we can explain our work. Anyway, so this is how you create connection.php. This is how you get the values that were posted from the form, and this is just a simple form, right? So I will give you guys a break right now. So after we are back from the break, obviously we don't want to show these values on the screen. What we want to do is we want to take these values, store it in the database, right? So that will be our second half of the lecture. Cool.